is the man behind Madea? How did he go from the poor playwright to Tinseltown titan? Find out as we look at the truth about Tyler Perry. Number 10. Arduous Childhood. While he's known best for his portrayal as the stern yet loving maternal figure Madea, the famed writer, director, actor Tyler Perry endured a very difficult childhood, verbally and physically mistreated by his own father until the age of 19. Perry endured a hellacious upbringing to become the man he is today.
The situation with his dad didn't just affect him either, as his mother and sisters had to survive a similar treatment.
Perry was so troubled by these early years that he spent a period of his life on the streets, but he cites religion as being his saving grace and the catalyst in turning things around. Number 9. Motherly motivation. One of the best parts of Perry's childhood came from his own mother, Willie Maxine Perry. While his relationship with his father was obviously strained, it was his mom who came through as his main role model. Through her compassionate parenting, Perry found his greatest supporter growing up, as she made sure to take him to church every week and help sculpt his worldview despite their unfortunate home life. Miss Perry cared so deeply for her children that she at one point would try to escape the cruelty of her husband by moving the children from their home in New Orleans to California. But along the way, Perry's father would report their vehicle stolen, having the entire family jailed until he could come out west and pick them up. Still, his mother would persist in attempting to give Perry the best possible life she could. So when lightning struck, after seeing Eddie Murphy's performance in Nutty Professor II, and the writer would begin developing his first original female character, there was one obvious choice to use as the foundation of what would become Madea. Through this, Perry has immortalized his mother, who passed away in 2009 at the age of 64, with one of the most iconic, recurring characters in Hollywood history. Number 8. Reinforce stereotypes. Entertaining millions around the world, Perry's works are often endearing tales of Black individuals and family struggles with real-world problems.
He views the majority of these stories as being good-natured, utilizing his famed character Madea as a medium to discuss topics such as faith, forgiveness, love, family, and religion.
But not everyone is head over heels for his characters, as many have criticized his creations as being offensively stereotypical. One of his most vocal critics is the acclaimed politically conscious writer, director, and producer Spike Lee. In various interviews, Lee has called out Perry's works, accusing the filmmaker of setting the public depiction of Black Americans in media back decades. And Lee isn't alone, as many journalists have also voiced displeasure at the amplification of Black stereotypes seemingly appearing in his films. Madea is at the center of many of these critical commentaries, targeting her loud, angry, and religious behavior. On top of that, people like culture critic and writer Jamila Lamu have addressed hackneyed character concepts such as emasculated Black men and crass, sassy Black women, consistently appearing in his catalog of stories. Despite these various accusations, Perry has largely shrugged off his critics, believing them not to understand the audience with which he is attempting to connect. He cares so little for the criticism, in fact, that when he was asked about Spike Lee's comments, Perry told Lee to go straight to hell. Number 7. Prosperity religion. A devout Christian, Tyler Perry almost always works themes of God, religion, and faith into his productions, a factor that has helped him connect with a large portion of his fan base. So it should come as no surprise that outside of these on-screen projects, Perry supports a number of religious organizations, though many of his fans would most likely be in favor of such donations and vocal backing. Some critics have found the specific organizations he aids to have questionable fundraising tactics, to say the least. Many of the ministries Perry has shown support for, either monetarily or through speaking out in their defense, practice what's known as prosperity theology. These types of religious groups convince their congregation, who are typically vulnerable and poverty-stricken, that donating to them will equate to future financial success.
In short, these groups are thought to preach for profit, thus taking advantage of desperate yet faithful individuals within the community.
One such instance of support came when Perry donated $1 million to T.D. Jakes' ministry, the Potter's House. But he didn't just give money, as the pastor invited Perry on stage to give his own sermon, as well as bless Jakes and invoke the Holy Spirit in him. The donation was recorded and spread online to millions of viewers, evoking reactions ranging from praise and appreciation to declaring the entire video a sham. Yet, the critiques of Perry's religious ventures continue to fall on deaf ears, as he has yet to respond to them. Number 6. From the stage to the screen. Long before he began making million-dollar grossing films, Perry found his start in theater, applying his own account of his life experiences as fodder for plays and musicals. He created his first musical title, I Know I've Changed, in 1992. The first attempt at staging the performance independently was a flop, and incredibly costly for the man who had yet to make his fortune. Still, determined to stay on course, Perry continued to work hard at succeeding on stage. Over the next few years, he would build a strong relationship with his church, so when he got another chance to perform the play in 1998 at a church repurposed as a theater, it was a completely different outcome.
Support and praise for his work launched from his small venue to the prestigious Fox Theater in Atlanta. From these experiences, Perry would also find his most profitable creation in Madea.
What was originally meant to be just a side character in a 5-minute scene would become much, much more one night when the main actress of the play didn't show. Perry would end up playing Madea throughout the entirety of the play, opening his eyes to the potential popularity of the character. Since then, the filmmaker has enjoyed a skyrocketing ride to success. His first feature film, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, debuted at the top spot in U.S. theaters. This crowd-pleasing inauguration to the film industry laid the groundwork for titles that would follow like Medea's Family Reunion, Daddy's Little Girls, Why Did I Get Married, and many others. To date, Perry's films have grossed more than $976 million, and considering he keeps his filming budget near $20 million per project, the financial value of his work is undeniable. Number 5. Union disputes. From the big screen to the living room, Perry has found major success. When he made the jump to television, his initial sitcom House of Pain seemed to do spectacular, running for a total of 5 years, 8 seasons, and 254 episodes by the end of 2012. In 2009, though, as Perry began to launch a spin-off for the popular comedy, he made a decision that damaged his public perception. Refusing to meet the contractual demands of 4 writers, the creator instead chose to fire them after having written hundreds of episodes for his prior show. This drew the ire of the Writers Guild of America, who filed unfair labor practice charges against Tyler Perry Studios as a result, citing his bargaining in bad faith. Perry settled the dispute within a month and made a change to his writing rooms, moving forward to prevent another issue, by eliminating them altogether. From then on, Perry has been the sole writer for his works. His issues with unions wouldn't end there, though, as he would also decline requests to sign union contracts for actors in 2015, looking to perform in his play Madea on the run. Due to this choice, 2 actors' unions would ban their members from working with Perry on this play, viewing this as an assertion of his unwillingness to take care of his actors.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Number 4. Averse to criticism. This entertainment mogul has endured a lot in life, and through his charitable works and attempts to grant a voice to the people in his community he came to growing up, it's obvious he maintains semblance of humility. However, when it comes to criticism, Perry has a reputation for throwing that humble attitude out the window. When addressing critics, Perry has taken a number of routes to discount their opinion, often finding ways to justify his own views on the matter. One example is when during an interview, he was questioned on how his portrayal of Black people was seen by many as to have negative implications on the view of Black Americans at large. In response, Perry accused critics who had questioned his ethics as being uncomfortable with his use of overweight Black characters. In doing so, he framed dissenting opinions as if they were biased against heavy-set people, going so far to say, "I was so offended because my aunt's fat. My mother's fat, my cousins are fat." Perry has often made headlines for his tendency to reframe complaints, to paint his critics as villains, and sometimes outright ignores the basis for critiques altogether. The filmmaker has feuded with directors, journalists, and other prominent figures in the Black community over the moral responsibility, or lack thereof, in his productions. Number 3. OPRAH inspired. Before Perry began his life in show business, the would-be billionaire was down and out when he happened to catch an episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show. In this episode, he would hear a piece of advice that would end up changing the course of his life.
As the personal information flowed from his pen, he made sure to use pseudonyms for individuals he wrote about just in case the private journal was found. Before he knew it, he had all the tools he needed to craft his first play.
Fast forward beyond his time as a playwright, and Perry has since gotten to know and befriend Oprah personally. But her inspiration didn't end with the fateful episode. Perry would watch and learn from her business sense as he started constructing an empire of his own, launching his own production studio in 2006, self-titled as Tyler Perry Studios. He went on to credit Oprah as a mentor. Perry cited her ability to own and build her own brand as a major influence, inciting him to do the same. So when Perry brought 3 new series to the Oprah Winfrey Network in 2012, it seemed as if this would be a perfect match. Number 2. OPRAH issues. For 10 plus years, Oprah and Tyler Perry enjoyed a close, profitable friendship, working closely together on a number of projects before Perry would leave TBS to join OWN. But the ability of their partnership would only last so long as disputes over his programs began to arise. According to some reports, Perry grew agitated at the criticism of his writing with Oprah going so far as to suggest bringing in a team of writers to assist with his scripts. The acclaimed director took offense at the attempts to interfere with his projects. An unnamed source told reporters that he became extremely defensive, telling Oprah, "Aren't the shows delivering ratings on the network? Well, then let me do what I do, and you can keep your focus group research to yourself."
But her own motivations weren't totally invalid. Oprah brought in her own focus group to evaluate the problems with his shows.
When Perry left TBS, it wasn't due to personal choice, as much as floundering ratings and his inability to take criticism from the network. So when Oprah brought him to her network, she was essentially bailing him out of a jam, and yet Perry supposedly remained unchanged. All parties have denied any sort of feud between the two, but when his contract expired with OWN, Perry would sign a deal with Viacom instead of returning. Whatever happened, the pair certainly aren't the all-star team they once were. Number 1. Net worth. The empire Tyler Perry has created has flourished from his days in theater, skyrocketing his net worth to an estimated $600 million.
His fortune has provided a comfortable life that's a far cry from his poverty-ridden origins.
In 2007, Perry spent a fraction of his wealth on a beautiful 17-acre property in a neighborhood of Atlanta, beginning a venture into real estate. The Hollywood heavyweight would go on to purchase the 58-acre Dean Gardens in 2010, 1,100 acres of land in New Manchester, Georgia in 2013, and in 2017, a house in LA's Mulholland Estates. While unmarried, Perry's millions support his longtime girlfriend, Jalila Bakil, and their son. But overall, the majority of his earnings go toward furthering his various projects, donating to causes, and bettering his communities.
Today's feature comment comes from Erica Jones on our Truth About Eminem video. Thanks for your comment, Erica. Don't forget to leave your thoughts below, and we might feature you in a future video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.